Okay. Welcome. The Eastham Conservation Commission will hold a hybrid public meeting on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026 at 6 p.m. pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, Open Meeting Law, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 155 of the Code of the Town of Eastham. This meeting is being broadcast on Public Access Channel 8 and streamed on YouTube. It will be rebroadcast on Channel 8, and meeting videos will be available on YouTube. Before we begin, a quick reminder. While our meetings are relatively informal, the Commission uses a simplified version of Robert's Rules. The chair runs the meeting, and everyone should speak through the chair after being recognized. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. We allow discussion between commissioners, staff, and applicants, and may extend that to abutters. For NOIs and RDAs, the applicant will present first, followed by discussion with the commission and staff. Once commission questions have slowed, abutters will have a chance to speak, followed by other members of the public as time allows. The chair may set time limits if needed. Please keep your microphone muted unless it's your turn to speak, and let the chair know if you plan to record the meeting. Most importantly, please be respectful of others so we can keep the meeting productive and focused. I'm going to take attendance and then we will begin. Janet Benjamins?
Here.
Joanne Posset?
Here.
Greg Douglas?
Here.
Mike Rivers?
Here.
Cinnamon Swabble?
Here.
Chuck Wagner?
Here.
And Karen Strauss. I am here. Okay, first up tonight, we have our usual public comment period. This is the moment when anybody who wishes to share anything with the commission or ask any questions that are not on tonight's agenda can have a few minutes to do so. And if anybody wishes to do that, if they could please make themselves known. Okay, and seeing no one, first up tonight, we have an update on the BMADA aquaculture site from Natural Resources Officer Nick Sanders. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Like Karen said, I'll be giving the update on the BMADA driving program. This year for 2025, we had 18 vehicle users. That ended up being 17 grant holders and 1 employee. And I think it's worth noting that those 17 grant holders are all the grant holders we have out there on our Boat Meadow ADA. So this is a very popular program amongst our aquaculturists on the Bayside, and they take every advantage they can of it. We had 1 reported instance of somebody getting stuck about December 2025. They were coming off the grants, ended up getting stuck a little bit in some soft sand, but somebody else was out there and able to tow them off without further issue. Emergency access was granted twice in 2025, once on January 2nd and again on December 18th. We grant emergency access along with the approval of the conservation agent and Inform Beach and Rec. We grant this access because of limited tidal access in anticipated inclement weather events, such as sea ice, a storm coming in. So this gives the aquaculturists an opportunity to bring in any gear they might have that would otherwise get mangled and potentially get, lines break, some of their cages get loose. So those would be floating around the bay. So the emergency access gives them the opportunity to remove that gear so it doesn't end up in the environment. And this driving program continues to support the safe handling of shellfish by allowing users to be able to harvest quickly and be able to put them on ice in acceptable containers or take them right into the landings, which would be the First Encounter parking lot, to meet a refrigerated truck from the shellfish dealer. So this is really important in the summer because of our Vibrio protocols. The oysters have to be on ice. Last year, Vibrio protocol was 2 hours. So being able to harvest oysters, get them right to the landing point or right on ice is super critical in helping counter Vibrio which we have seen an uptick in across the Commonwealth. We did not have any Vibrio closures in our ADA this year, so that was good. And I just want to thank the Conservation Commission again for their continued support of this program. As it, like I mentioned earlier, with every one of our grant users using it, it is definitely getting utilized to its fullest extent. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask if anybody on the commission has any questions or comments they'd like to make. Okay, and I'm going to say we thank you for your update, and we appreciate the diligence in which the aquaculture owners are following the order of conditions.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a one-year extension permit filed by Massasoit Hills Homeowners Association, SE 19-823, for stabilization of a coastal dune with snow fencing, walkway, vegetation, and construction of a stairway and handrail at existing private beach located at Saltworks Road, map 04. And I don't know if there's anybody to speak to this. Okay. This is a request for a one-year extension. The permit expires in May, and a one-year extension would give them time to pursue a certificate of compliance over the next year. That is what they're requesting. If there are no questions, I would like somebody to make a motion to approve. Alex?
I'll just mention that with the certificate of compliance, I'll include a letter outlining that we expect these applicants to pursue a request for certificate of compliance next year. So this will be their last extension.
Okay, I was just going to say that.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask for a motion to approve this and to direct Alex to send the letter as indicated. But if somebody would like to make a motion to approve the
So moved.
certificate, and a second.
Second.
Okay, Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, next up, we have 3 certificates of compliance for 225 Sparrow Road, map 04, parcel 190. I'm going to open them individually. First up is a certificate of compliance filed by Bradford Jr. and Stacy Linwood, SE 19-30, for maintaining a bulkhead structure at property located at 225 Sparrow Road, map 04, parcel 190. And I see Tim Brady's here. Is there some, you want to start us off?
Nope, good afternoon. I got a message that you had some questions after this morning's site visit, so I'm here to answer anything that you might question.
Okay, well, I do have a number expressing. I have too many pieces of paper with notes. Okay, so the permit in question is, we'll start with the first one, which is SE 19-30, and this is an order of conditions for what appears to be a higher reef bulkhead structure from 1976. And it seems to have had extensions, and the last one expired in 1982. So you wrote in your letter with this COC request that some tires had recently come loose and they were manually removed from the area. But I went and took a look at the satellite photos for that site, some high resolution satellite photos starting in 2016. And in 2017, there were over 100 tires at the location. The same is true in 2018. And then in 2019, it was high tide, and I could see a couple of tires on the beach in front of the revetment at 195 Sparrow Road. But after that, looking at the satellite photos, it appears that there are no more tires at the location.
That's
And okay, so we're well over 100 tires at the location, and I find it very hard to believe that they were manually removed one tire at a time, and I'd like to know more details about how they were moved, why there was not a permit requested to remove them, and who took them off, what was the process, the machinery that was used, where the tires were disposed of, and any impacts from the removal of the tires, which had been acting as a bulkhead and attenuating wave action
okay.
at that location.
So those tires have been there, as you mentioned, since like 1976 or 78.
Mhm.
And they were actually laid flat on the flats. They weren't on the bank at all.
Mhm.
They were just laid flat on the flats, and they were bolted together to make a continuous grid. And it was an attempt or an imitation of a salt marsh to see how it would operate on the tidal flats. And it was done by Marion Simmel a number of years ago. She was around town. She was an interesting lady and came up with this scenario. She sold that property a number of years ago, and there's a house on there now that's an entirely different house. And so over those years, there's been some discussions with Wilkinson Ecological and others about whether the tires should stay, whether they are better salt marsh enhancement alternatives. And we were going to file for actually creating a salt marsh a number of years ago, and the owners decided not to go forward with that. I didn't realize that all of the tires were removed until recently. The owner tells me that in the last few years, they were coming apart. They had been there for a long time. And he assures me they were all individually taken out by hand. They were full of sand, so sand was rinsed out of them so that they could be lugged off the beach. Where they went, I don't know. But they were removed by hand. They didn't have any, I'm not sure whether they had any beneficial or adverse impacts over the years. They seemed to me to be kind of neutral in terms of the impacts that they had at the site. So at this point in time, that's all I know. They were removed by hand. As the owner assures me that they were, and where they went, I don't know.
Okay, and why did they, you probably can't answer that, why did they think they could do this level of work without a permit?
I suspect it was because we had talked about the tires being there for a long term, whether we were going to do an alternative or not, and whether they simply took out loose ones over the years or whether they took them out all at once, I don't know. But I suspect they assumed that it was better to take them out than to leave them where they were.
Well, most of them did not appear to be loose. I can share my screen and show you a picture of what it looked like.
That's probably a picture that I sent you.
No, I got it off of the Nearmap
okay.
satellite.
Okay.
So I could do that.
There is a, I don't need to see it. I know.
Okay.
There was
But,
one condition as part of the original. It says that the tires are to be marked to determine by the conservation agent and Dr. Simmel, any tires which are removed from the area will be returned or removed from the beach by the owner. So,
right. But there's another condition in there that says that the Conservation Commission has to permit any removal. I had Amy dig out the original order of conditions and notice of intent. It's a fascinating document.
From 1976, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, well, there's a whole narrative from Dr. Simmel about how the tires volunteered to be in that area. and then how she built the reef, which I assume was started working on that several years before she permitted it.
Those tires may have been there before the Wetlands Act was even in place.
Mm-hmm.
Because it started, I think, in 74 or 75.
Right. But going back to the tires, from the satellite photos, it was very clear that there was a lot of the tires had rims. Some were larger truck tires. Quite a lot of them were buried deep in the sand and the flats, and probably were full of sand. So that is a lot of work to do by hand, and that quantity of tires. So I think I would like the homeowner to be documenting this for us and maybe file an after the fact permit so we can clear this up.
If you want an after the fact permit, we could certainly do that. I don't think that it's necessary. You go down there today and it looks just like they were never there. Mm-hmm. So there certainly wasn't any impact due to their removal. We could do some paperwork if you think it's necessary, but
I would have trouble signing off on the certificate of compliance without the details of what happened to the tires, given what some of the conditions were.
Right. I hear what you're saying. I tend to disagree with that. I would rather stand there and look at the site and say, no impact on however it happened, whether they did it with helicopter or whether they carried them out of here. Obviously, you get to make the decision, but I don't think that's an effort that's necessary.
And I was a little surprised it wasn't detailed more than a throwaway sentence that they came loose and were walked off the beach in the application for the COC.
Okay. Like I say, it's your choice. I don't think it's necessary, but if we need to do it, that's what we'll do.
It's the I dotting and T crossing in a way. But let me see if the rest of the commission has any questions or comments here. Janet?
I concur with you. We need to know a sequence of events and how people thought they could do what they did without following through on it and making sure it was correct.
Joanne?
Yeah, I think from an operational kind of practical perspective, it's not necessary. However, I do think it would be helpful for the kind of the historical record. It sounds like this is a very unique project from a well-known personality in the town. And so were someone to kind of go back and look at this for a historical perspective, it would be really helpful to have that additional documentation on hand.
Any other questions or comments?
Does Alex have a comment?
Alex?
Yeah, I was going kind of back and forth between after the fact permitting or continuing this to a future meeting and just requesting more information prior to the issuance of the certificate of compliance.
I guess that would probably be okay.
If you would just like a narrative from the owner about what took place and continue this meeting for that purpose, that would be fine.
And if they could include how and where they disposed of the tires, that was a lot of tires to dispose of in what seemed like less than 2 years.
I'll see what I can find out.
Okay. And if they possibly have any pictures of the site while they were doing that work, before and after. Okay. So we can continue this. How much time do you think you'd need?
Let's do a month, 2 meetings, and that'll give us time.
Okay, that would be May 12th.
Okay.
Okay, if we could have a motion to continue to May 12th, 2026.
To continue to May 12th.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, Janet?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, so moving on to SE 19-267 for the bulkhead. You said in your, now this expired, this had a number, this is from 1983 and had a number of extensions, and the last one seems to have expired in 2013.
That seems correct.
Okay. And then you write in your letter that the bulkhead has been reconstructed, and I would like to know what you mean by that and when that occurred.
So under one of those extensions, the wall was reconstructed. And I believe it was entirely reconstructed under that extension.
I did not see any notes to that effect when I looked through the file.
Okay, just telling you what my
And-
understanding is.
Okay. And normally an extension is an extension of the existing order of conditions, not a new permit to rebuild.
This order of conditions was for the for the construction of a wood bulkhead.
Right.
And an extension permit allowed that to be reconstructed.
Okay, you'll have to show me the details on that because
Okay.
I didn't see that in the permitting chain, and that is not something I would expect to be done under an extension permit.
Okay,
And then there's a condition in that filing, number 20. The beach in front shall be nourished as necessary to maintain the profile indicated in the plan submitted, and it says see special condition number 12.
yeah, and I don't think anyone found that site plan, did they?
It is yes, I've seen it.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to look at that. I didn't find that site plan anywhere to see what that talked about.
Okay, I think Amy dug it up. We'll make sure you get a copy
Okay.
because
Okay.
it had the profile and it had details.
Okay, then we can look at that.
Okay. So, but I don't think it has the same profile it had when it was permitted.
It probably doesn't. We all know that we have tried to measure and maintain beach profiles in the past. And it's hard to know whether the profile is maintained or not because it can change overnight 2, 3, 4 feet. So it's hard to do that. And that's why the commission actually moved away from that and went to a annual nourishment of a certain amount of material rather than trying to maintain whatever the profile was.
Okay. But Alex?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the plans you were talking to, Karen. So in front of me, I've got the plans. There's 3 pages, correct? The first page is site plan showing elevations. Second page is site plan with boundaries. And then the third is the cross section of the bulkhead, which shows the approximate level of the beach on September 13th, 1983. Is that right, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could get those, if you could, can you email or just make a copy and I'll pick them up?
Yeah, certainly. We could get these to you, Tim.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to see if anybody else has any questions or comments here. Okay, so when would you like to continue this also to?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Same date?
Okay, so if we could have a motion to continue to May 12th, 2026.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Joanne?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, and then we have the SE 19. Oh, I have to open the filing, don't I? Okay, so then we have certificate of compliance filed by Bradford Jr. and Stacy Linwood, SE 19-1778 for planting of a coastal bank at property located at 225 Sparrow Road, map 04, parcel 190. So in this one, it looks like there are plantings to stabilize the bank didn't take, and there's bare patches. And then there's also the unpermitted fences.
Yes, right.
So those fences seem to have gone in very, very recently.
Yes, it looks like.
Okay, the permit expired in 2023.
The permit for the house, I think we got a, the fencing would have been part of the house notice of intent and order of conditions, because that was part of the landscaping for the house. So that's
Okay,
separate for this order of conditions, which was just for the bank, for the tow.
okay. But you mentioned it in your letter, so I'm
did.
trying to,
And I also mentioned that I believe that it is in accordance with the current regulation regarding windbreaks and fencing and vegetation, and ask that you allow it to remain.
okay, but that's under a different permit.
That's right.
What permit is that under?
That was for the house. I don't know the
Yes,
number. That's been given a certificate of compliance already, I believe.
okay. Then if it's a certificate of compliance, you can't then go do new work on it.
Agreed.
So you would need to file a permit application for the fence.
Why don't we do a administrative review or something for that fencing?
Mm-hmm.
I can do that if you'd like.
Okay, well, that something needs to be done. So yeah.
I guess you probably noticed that some of these things that you guys think paperwork are necessary, I like to think are ongoing issues that we can expect at all of these kinds of projects, and not need this additional stuff. But I will talk with Alex about an administrative review for the.
Okay, but you're talking about work you're doing on a permit that already has a certificate of compliance and therefore isn't allowing any additional work.
Okay, and that's what I mean. Yes, a certificate of compliance was issued, but the work that was done could have been done at any house in any wetland area at any time in the past. And I'm just asking that you allow it to continue. But I understand that you don't like that, and we'll just go with paperwork instead.
And yes, we do like to permit fences.
That's fine.
Okay, and then let's go back to the stabilization plantings because they were not successful. The coastal bank area has a lot of bare patches where the beach grass was supposed to be established. So what is the plan for that?
I think as I recall, the bank itself was in good condition, other than right at the toe of the slope. There's a level area at the top of the bulkhead that doesn't have any vegetation on it. It gets overtopped regularly. Nothing will grow there. But at the toe of the bank, that was the intent of that order of conditions, was to get some plantings in there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And that's why I asked for continued maintenance of that plantings at the toe of the bank. The landscaper goes in there as necessary and replaces those. And that's why we're asking for the continued maintenance of the installation of those plantings.
But if they're not surviving and you continually have to replant, maybe a different plan has to be looked at, or a different way to help them establish, because giving ongoing conditions for stabilization that isn't working doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense.
Well, the thing is that the chief function of a coastal bank is to remain stable and to protect the upland. And it does that. That bank is completely stable. There are some plants at the bottom that come and go depending on when they plant them, but the project does what it's supposed to do. The bank is indeed stable. So if those homeowners chose to allow that bank to become unstable, that's up to them. They did the work. It's in accordance with the regulations. We are asking for additional ongoing right to plant if they choose to. But I don't think the commission can force any applicant to protect their property in some way if they don't want to.
Well, yes, but this particular order of conditions, as most of them do with plantings, has a 90% survivability requirement.
Understood.
So how can we issue a certificate of compliance for something when you haven't achieved the 90% survivability?
I would say that that bank does have 90% vegetation on it. We've done other coastal bank structures where all of the plants have disappeared. And we've gotten certificates of compliance for those because the project was done in accordance. It didn't happen to work, but it was built the way that it was supposed to be built. And certificates of compliance were issued, and maybe something was done with those banks and maybe it wasn't. So it's not every bank is going to continue to be a well-vegetated, protected bank throughout its entire lifetime.
Well, I would say it was not a 90% survivability, but I will ask my colleagues who are out there this morning, Greg and Cinnamon and Alex was there as well, if they would like to weigh in. Greg?
I think, I mean, having been there, I mean, the coverage was pretty good. I mean, it would be hard for me to say whether it was 90% or 85%, but it was fairly extensively covered. And there was, again, some dead zones at the bottom of the toe around that area. So, I mean, I think it's not too far off, but I didn't measure it, so I couldn't say exactly.
Cinnamon?
Agree with that. It does seem stable. I'm not sure if additional plantings would make any difference in the stability of that.
Okay. So that leaves us with any other questions or comments here? And would somebody, let's see, just grabbing my note. Okay, if somebody would like to make a motion. Let me just see where the notes are on the conditions. You wanted 34. If somebody would like to make a motion to approve a certificate of compliance for SE 19-1778 with an ongoing condition number 34 for stabilization planting.
So moved.
And is there a second? Yes.
I actually asked for two ongoing conditions, 33 and 34.
And 33 was nourishment?
No, that's stairway maintenance.
Sorry, let me just pull that file up again.
There's a little stone stairway area.
You asked for 3 conditions, one for sand nourishment. And the sand nourishment was a one-time nourishment, not a continuing condition. So it doesn't make sense to give you that one. Number 33 was for stairway maintenance, and number 34 was for stabilization plantings.
Yeah, and 31, not that it's that important. It could be used. I can't, 31, because I think it said a one-time thing with review by the agent at the time.
Let me find it.
I don't see 31 in my paperwork, but oh yes, I do. 31 says one-time sand placement, Notificate, I guess you could say that sand or fill other than what is indicated will require a permit. So that's fine. Let's skip 31. And if we have to put more sand, we'll be back.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve SE 19, certificate of compliance for SE 19-1778 with continuing conditions for 33 and 34.
Okay, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Joanne,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and I'm a no. Okay, we're done.
Okay, you have me again.
We have you again. That's true.
Are you doing Nicoma next, or have you got?
No, you got a break.
Okay, you've got one other then.
Yeah, so we have a certificate of compliance filed by Jesse and Claire Johnson, SE 19-1388 for the removal of existing long guard tubes and stabilization of the base of a coastal bank by engineered solution utilizing sand-filled wire envelopes and fiber rolls, maintenance of existing drift fencing, along with sacrificial sand mitigation at property located at 45 Bayshore Lane, map 13, parcel 136D. Is anybody here to speak on this? Okay, I'm going to ask Cinnamon if she wants to just review site conditions as we were out there this morning.
Sure. Upon visiting, it is indeed true that everything has been removed. And that's basically it. It's been removed. It's kind of after the fact. So, and I believe Karen was going to speak on what happened after the removal.
Okay, so a revetment has been put at the site, and at the time the revetment went in, the sand-filled choir rolls were removed. And when we permitted the revetment, I was out at the site and had a chance to review what remained of the choir tubes. So, having looked at it at that point, I would feel comfortable issuing a certificate of compliance for this. Even though we can't examine this in the current state because it has all been removed. So, does anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, if we could have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for SE 19-1388.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Joanne,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, next up we have a certificate of compliance filed by Richard and Joan Kingsbury, SE 19-1035, for replenishing the toe of a bank with approximately 78 cubic yards of clean, coarse sand, free of all debris at property located at 11 Nicoma Way, map 10, parcel 326. And that would be you, Tim. Is there anything you'd like to
No.
say?
No, this one I think is pretty straightforward. It's an old one that was actually superseded by a later one.
Right. I'm going to ask Greg if he could just go through what we saw while we were out at the site.
Sure, we visited the site and we examined the sand fences and the sand at the site and the bank, and it looked very stable. It looked like almost like an accretion zone of sand. The beach looked great, so it looked like that the bank had been well maintained.
Okay. Any questions? comments from anybody? Okay, and this one I believe had no continuing conditions as it's been superseded. Okay, so if we could have a motion to approve SE 19-1035 for a certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Okay, and is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, Chuck,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Janet? Janet?
Sorry, yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, next we have a certificate of compliance filed by Richard and Joan Kingsbury, SE 19-1651 for the installation of a septic system at property located at 11 Nicoma Way, map 10, parcel 326.
And this
Yeah.
was for a septic system.
Yes.
It was not actually my design, but there's no reason that I can't request a certificate of compliance for this. I did find an as-built site plan, which the engineer prepares at the time when the septic system is constructed, and it certifies that it was constructed in accordance with the health regulations, and that was filed with the health department. So that's typical for the installation of a septic system. The area is well vegetated, and it looks to me like it's a pretty straightforward project. There was actually an original order of conditions, and then the septic system was revised in its design, and there was an amended order of conditions. But I would say it's in accordance with all of those.
Right. It seems to have had two amended orders. One in March 5th, 2019, and another one in May 2nd, 2019.
Were those? I did not find that. I found an amended order of conditions February 1st, 2019. There may have.
Well, I'm looking at the permit dates for those as opposed to the filing dates. It's in my
Interesting.
And I was a little curious because they didn't quite match your letter. So
I found some interesting plans and some interesting dates, and it took me a little while to figure out what I thought was going on. But I thought that the amended order of conditions was approved on February 1st, 2019. Hold on. Okay, so in that one amended order of conditions, there is a public hearing was closed February 12th, 19. There was an amended order of conditions 3/15/19 and 5/2/19. But there's only one recorded amended order of conditions that I'm aware of.
well, apparently these were not actually recorded at the registry either.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly right, is they were not recorded.
Yeah, but one of them says that the original was August 23rd, 2016, and
Correct.
there was an amended order on 5/2/19. And then this other page has, where am I? There's too much paper for some of these things. And then elsewhere in this long list of paper, this is why you like to print things out. It shows that there was another amended order, 12/10/18.
Okay, so
And
some
then
of those,
2/12/19, and then finally it shows that there were permits issued on 8/23/16, 3/5/19, and 5/2/19.
so I think what you're looking at are not actually amended orders of conditions, they're revisions to the plan. Because
Well,
I have notes that say The plan was revised 3/25/19, 12/21/18, 10/12/18. Those were revisions to the plan, probably required by the Board of Health, that did not require an amended order of conditions.
Well, I was thinking the 3/5/19 and the 5/2/19 probably came back to the Conservation Commission, had to go back to the Board of Health and then had to come back. But this is on a WPA Form 5 Order of Conditions, these dates, and it says AOOC. So
They are? I
yeah,
didn't find those. So,
that is on page 17 of the packet we got for our meeting tonight. It doesn't really matter. I think the septic was installed properly and we can issue the permit. This is just me trying to figure out why there's so many different dates.
okay.
And all, and I probably shouldn't have dragged us down the rabbit hole. Because I think going through some of these older ones will make your head explode.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Okay, if we could have a motion for a certificate of compliance for SE 19-1651.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Greg,
Yeah.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. And then we have one more certificate of compliance filed by Richard and Joan Kingsbury, SE 19-1811, for a sand-drift fence and nourishment during the construction of the sand-drift fence at property located at 11 Nicoma Way, map 10, parcel 326.
And this is for the current sand fence that's out there and the nourishing that went along with that. And that's expired. So we've asked for a certificate of compliance with special condition 27 and 35 for maintenance of the fence and for fence nourishment.
And we were out there and the fence looks very, very well nourished.
It is, I would say right now, yes.
And I just want to pull up if you'll bear with me for a second, I just want to pull up the filing. So with that, oh, right, our copy of this did not have the conditions in it. And then I have, okay, all right, I have that. Okay. So 27 is nourishment. It allowed for nourishment only once during the 3-year life cycle of the order. So what are you looking for in the continuing condition?
I would like to see, because they don't nourish regularly here, they're not required to. I would like to see a condition where a one-time nourishment can be done in the future in consultation with the Board of Health, or the Conservation Commission or the agent.
Yeah, but that's not what this condition says.
Okay, well then do what you need. You know my thoughts on that.
I know, but it says a one-time nourishment. So I would think you'd have to come back for additional nourishment. And then you wanted maintenance
Maintenance of the
Which was-
fence.
of the fence, which was 35. Yeah. So let me ask the commission if they have any thoughts on the nourishment. Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SE 19-1811 with an ongoing condition number 35 for maintenance of the fence.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mike,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Have a nice night.
All right, next up, okay, next we have continuation of notice of continuation of certificate of compliance filed by John and Jane Malloy, SC 19-1579, for the demolition of an existing addition and construction of a larger addition, hardscaping, and an outdoor kitchen, foundation plantings, removing beach grass and bearberry, and planting non-native plants and driveway improvements at property located at 25 Bayview Drive, map 13, parcel 049. And they asked to have this continued until April 28th, 2026. So if somebody would like to make that motion.
Move to continue to April 28th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Joanne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yeah.
Greg,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have some administrative reviews, and Vice Chair Janet Benjamins is going to read those for us tonight.
Administrative review filed by Richard and Cynthia Alden. The applicant proposes to construct a new deck at property located at 20 Partition Lane, map 13, parcel 065. And I know several of you were out there this morning. Greg, would you like to start with comments about this?
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, it appears that the work is being done within the footprint of what's already been done, and it just appears to be a simple deck, and nothing really extravagant that I could tell. I mean, I think there was some doors going in too, but I didn't have any issues during the visit.
Does anyone else have any comments of the commissioners who were out there this morning?
I have no concerns about the project.
Alex, do you have any comments?
I'll just second what Greg said. Seems like a low impact project, no vegetation removal needed, so I have no concerns.
Thank you. Was there anyone else who had any comments? Then would someone like to make a motion to approve this administrative review?
So moved.
I think you want to do special conditions for decks and sheds.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Didn't-
had it written down. I forgot it. Yes, we need to have special conditions for decks and sheds along with the approval.
Okay, I amend my movement to that. So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yeah.
Karen,
yes.
and I'm a yes. Next is the administrative review filed by Lawrence and Mary Downs. The applicant proposes to replace existing timber walls and step, plant native plantings, and top dress the beach with compatible beach sand at property located at 245 Mill Road, map 15, parcel 024. So right away we have a question with the nourishment is not permitted with an administrative review. So that would either have to be removed from the submission or file to have it approved.
Hi, good evening. Melissa Paradise from Crawford Land Management, representing the Downs family.
Okay.
I wasn't aware. I had kind of reached out to Alex to ask how we should possibly, we could go about with the existing wall and that, and I was recommended for the AR. I was unaware of this. But that's fine. If you need us to remove it, we can do that. It's not a very large beach. I think they just wanted to top dress with just some compatible sand. There's a photo in there, but if it's not allowed with an AR, I understand.
Thank you. Greg, did you have comments?
Yeah, we were out to visit it today, and I think that the retaining wall was a one-to-one replacement, which looked pretty straightforward, and the removal of the stairs and the plantings that are recommended, I think, were good. And yeah, I would agree that that there needed to be some discussion with respect to the beach sand issue.
Okay.
And did the mitigation planting seem appropriate? All right.
Yeah, that,
Add that to the submission. Do any of the other commissioners have any comments? Oh, Karen, yes.
Yeah, so I think we probably can just go ahead and approve the parts of the administrative review that include everything but the top dressing of the beach. And then we'd look for an RDA for the beach work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Would that be okay, Melissa?
Yes, I will speak with the owners and let them know that would have to go through an RDA. I think that's fine.
Alex?
With the nourishment and the RDA, I think the commission has the feeling that that would be a one-time nourishment of that beach. And so there wouldn't be
Yes.
there wouldn't be any ongoing conditions under the RDA to permit, future nourishment.
Assuming we were to approve the RDA.
Correct.
Understood.
Are there any other comments? Okay, would someone like to move to approve with special conditions for the timber and following 7? No, I can't read my notes. Our regulations for mitigation plantings, with the condition that the RDA for the beach sand be submitted.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
I have a point of order.
Karen?
I don't think we can require them to submit an RDA. So I think we can have a motion that approves the other work, but does not approve the beach nourishment, the beach top dressing. I don't think we can have a motion that requires them to submit an RDA.
Okay, thank you. So should we strike that?
Well, you can ask the person who made the motion to withdraw and make a new motion.
I withdraw the motion.
So we'd have a new motion for replacing the existing timber walls and step and planting native plantings according to our rules for mitigation plantings.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So it has been approved without the beach nourishment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Next is an administrative review filed by Gillian Montanez. The applicant proposes to replace existing landscape timber retaining wall at property located at 4 Preservation Way, map 12, parcel 063C. And the landscape timbers were going to be replaced with 6x6 landscape timbers. Those of you who were out there this morning, do you have any comments? So thanks, Greg.
Yeah, went out to visit the site this morning, and it's a 1-to-1 replacement of the timbers. The timbers are very severely degraded. I did have a couple of questions for it. That when we say landscape timbers, what are they? Are they the landscaping timbers? Are they the pressure treated? What exactly kind of materials are they going to use? And the other question I had was if they could provide just a little more information on how they're going to remove it, because it's basically a wall holding back the bank. And I'd be interested to hear a little bit more on how they're going to actually remove those timbers and how they're going to stage the operation.
I don't think there's, Kristen
Yes.
Clarker?
Yes, Kristen Crooker, Cape Coastal Landscaping.
So you're here to speak?
Yeah, all timbers will be removed from the upper grade. All access to the wall will happen from the back lawn grade. We plan to install wattles to prevent any sand loss or erosion. We will remove any loose material that we've excavated offsite daily. And we were proposing pressure treated landscape ties. However, we're open if we could mention to the homeowner if the request would be to upgrade them to the non-pressure treated, we would certainly suggest that to the homeowner. But that's that's what the homeowner's looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one question is how do you prevent the bank from caving in when you're pulling out
We're
those
going to
timbers?
excavate back because we're going to need to pull the grade back away from the wall in order to tie in deadman and cribbing in order to make the whole wall structural. So we'll pull everything back into the homeowner's existing backyard grade. And we don't plan to disturb anything beyond the wall in any way. And again, we will install wattles just in case, to prevent any sand loss. But everything will be done from above, and we don't plan it to be a very long project. We'll be in and out of there fairly quickly.
Great, thank you.
Are there any commissioners who have any other comments? Alex?
Yeah, I'll just make this, I don't think I made this clear in my staff report, but I did have some draft special conditions for this administrative review. some of which Kristen has actually already spoken to. So the first one would be informing the contractor and engineer of all these conditions. We'd want a work notice 24 hours before the start of work, removing the construction debris in a timely manner. Material storage should be outside of the 100-foot buffer. Kristen mentioned the sedimentation controls. Any soil that needs to be stabilized after the completion of construction, we ask that that be done with a conservation seed mix. And then if in chance there is any vegetation damage during the construction process, we'd like that vegetation replaced in kind.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has any comments?
I have a question. There's English ivy there. When you say anything's disturbed, you would not replace the English ivy, correct?
We are not planning to do any planting. We're basically just hired to replace the wall. So again, as was suggested, we would be, seeding with the conservation mix to the disturbed area in the upper yard that's existing lawn now. But we don't plan to have any impact on the banking itself.
Okay.
Does that answer your Cinnamon?
It was more of a general question kind of for the commission that we would never be planting English ivy.
No.
Correct?
No.
Okay.
Alex?
It's worst nightmare.
It's holding the bank.
Sorry, I just forgot to put my hand down.
Oh, all right. Any other comments? Well, then, would someone move to approve with the conditions stated by Alex?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Mike?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Cinnamon? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Greg?
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. So it's been approved. Thank you for attending, Kristen, and for speaking to our concerns.
Yes. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you, Janet, for handling that part of our meeting.
You're
Next
welcome, Karen.
Next up, we have a continuation of notice of intent filed by Kristen and Stephen Soriano. Applicant proposes construction of a single-family dwelling, IA septic system, utilities, driveway construction, and grading at property located at 285 Herringbrook Road, map 17, parcel 485. And Stephanie?
Hi, yep. Good evening. Stephanie Sequin with Broder and Wilcox, representing Stephen and Kristen Soriano. And this is an application for a new house on vacant lot. And at our last meeting, I think the biggest concern or question that the commissioners had was how many trees within jurisdiction are coming out and what's going to be planted to replace them. So we went out and flagged 11 trees that are 4 inches or greater in diameter within the 100-foot buffer and within the limit of work. So those have been flagged. And the applicant prepared a planting plan, which we submitted. And they are showing 2 black gum trees, 3 dogwood trees, and a total of 18 shrubs, all native from the county list of native plantings. So I think we hopefully are adequately replacing the trees that are proposed to be removed. The other request that one of the commissioners made was that we indicate on the site plan the extent of the NHESP estimated habitat and priority habitat. So we did put that NHESP boundary on the site plan. And then we also, in the construction note number 3, made reference to the planting plan that has been submitted. So sort of tying all that together. So those are the revisions or additional information that have been submitted since the last meeting, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so thank you very much for doing what we asked here. We were out at the site this morning, and I'm going to ask Cinnamon just to review what we saw when we were out there.
Sure, thank you. We saw 8 trees marked for removal, and you said there was 11 marked?
Yes.
Okay. How do we close that delta? I guess I have a question.
Okay. I am expecting to have the homeowner surveyor has located the trees that we flagged and is going to be providing an updated existing conditions plan with those trees located. I was hoping to have had it today, but it isn't quite ready. So I would say by the end of the week, I will have that plan, and that will have exactly, all the trees that were flagged and their locations.
Great. I think you answered the question that you are only flagging trees from 4 inches and greater, correct? And
Right,
everything
yes.
else under 4 inches is assumed within the limit of work is going to be removed as well.
Correct.
Okay. There's one, I'll say it's probably about 15 feet plus or minus snag. It's not marked, but it's very dead. We were wondering if you didn't mark that because it was dead. And our concern is that there's a lot of nesting cavities within that. So we need to clarify what your intentions are with that. And so if we could get that clarified as well. I would also think that if it was going to be removed, that you'd have to wait till after nesting season. Am I correct about that? Or confirm that there's no nests in the cavities?
Okay, and is this, I know there was a very dead pine that was
It's not,
flagged.
yeah.
This
it's
is
not
the
pine.
deciduous, right? Okay.
Yeah, it would be, so there's a dead oak as well. I would have a hard time even identifying what this tree was at this point, but it's a good size.
Yeah.
So we were just, like I said, we were unclear as to whether it wasn't marked because it was dead and you just assumed that it would be coming out, but we felt it had a little more, or I felt it had a little more significant value.
Okay, and I'm not sure why it wasn't flagged. I would guess that it's because it was far enough away from the proposed building that it did not need to be removed.
I think Alex can add some clarity here.
Sure.
This one is it's right within the limit of work. So our understanding was that, since it's within the limit of work, most likely it's going to be removed. But we wanted to confirm that, as Cinnamon stated, given the significant number of nesting cavities within the dead snag.
And if I could add that it's on when the road's to your back, it's on the left-hand side and just past what looks like the largest cluster of trees to be removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a limit.
If that'll help you place it.
Yeah, so we saw 3 limit of work, delineations on site. There's one stake that is just beyond this tree, so it's within the limit of work. As we observed it on site.
Okay. Could, I'm not sure quite how to resolve this. Can we go under the assumption that it is going to remain because it is just at the edge of the limit of work? And with the condition that if it's determined that it does need to be removed, the conservation agent be notified and an appropriate timeframe for removal be established.
I think that sounds pretty reasonable. Yeah. Janet?
You're muted.
I'd like to propose for the tree that has the nest in it, that it remain as a snag. Leave 10 to 12 feet of the tree. Also, I'm concerned because although you have a nice variety of plants that you're suggesting, none of them would be canopy trees, and you're taking some canopy trees down. Everything you're proposing is shorter than that. So I think you have some canopy trees.
Yeah, so do you not consider the dogwood or the black gum tree to be canopy?
I'm not familiar with the gum tree, but I don't think the dogwood would get that tall.
The dogwood would be 15 to 20 feet, 15 to 30 feet with a spread about the same.
Okay, well, that's a lot taller than what I've seen. Thank you, Karen.
And then the black gum,
I think.
30 to
Yeah.
50 feet with a spread 20 to 30 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
Janet?
Okay.
I think 30 to 50 would approach the canopy, and then the dogwood would be a mid-story tree. And there didn't seem to, it seemed like replacing mid-story also would be good at this site.
Okay.
Alex,
Thank you.
anything else, Janet?
No.
Alex?
Yeah, just for some clarity, the gum tree is another common name for the black tupelo, which is a native tree out here on the Cape. I would consider that a replacement for canopy trees. And then, as Karen mentioned, the dogwood is more of a perhaps an understory species, and since there is understory vegetation being removed, it would be important to replace that as well.
Well, any further questions? Okay, let me ask if the commission feels that we need to continue this to get a plan of the trees that are going to be removed. It seems like there's a difference of two, or we can just do an approval, and Stephanie will provide that information to the conservation department after the meeting. Stephanie, you said next week or so you would
I
have
hope to
something
have it
like
by
that.
the end of this week, yes.
The end of this week. So if we made a condition that you would bring that to the conservation office end of this week or beginning of the next week,
Yep, that should be fine.
if that would work for the rest of the commission. Joanne, and then Janet.
Yeah, I'd say that works for me. I don't want to forget Janet's concern about the snag, though. I think it's fair to leave it up to Alex if the snag needs to come out for some kind of building reason and it cannot be avoided. I think I'm okay with Alex making that call. But if we keep it, let's try to keep it unless there's a real rationale for removal.
Okay, and I did capture that language to read back as we. Janet?
I would like to have a plan before we vote on it, but I'm willing to go with what the majority of the commission says. I'd like to have all the trees marked so that we're not guessing at which ones they are, as well as having that all on a plan. Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a difference of 2 trees, and Stephanie will get us that on a plan within the next week. Alex?
I just wanted to update Stephanie on my timeline. I'll be out of the office later this week into early next week. So, if you were to get an updated plan to us early next week, that'd be fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
And before we continue, let me ask if there are any butters on this call who wish to speak. Okay, and seeing none, it seems like we're ready for a motion. Someone would like to make a motion to approve this notice of intent with the special conditions for single-family dwellings, with the condition that the snag remain unless it is determined there is a real need to remove the snag, in which case the conservation agent will be notified and an appropriate time and process for removal will be determined. And then also that a plan detailing the location of each tree to be removed will be delivered to the conservation office at the beginning of next week. Did I catch everything? Okay.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Seconded.
Joanne?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to announce that Chuck and Joanne can't vote on this because they were not here for the last meeting and did not file the Mullen paperwork. So Janet?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. So you are approved.
Okay, great. Thank you all
And
very much.
Greg, sorry, did I not call Greg?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you're good.
All right, thank you. Good night.
I don't know why I forgot that. It's right there in my note. Okay, next up, we have the continuation of notice of intent filed by Town of Eastham. Applicant proposes to construct a municipal wastewater system for the Nauset Estuary watershed entitled Phase 1, which will include approximately 16 miles of gravity and pressure sewer mains, 4 pump stations, and service connections to each parcel to be served by the system at properties located at 2475 State Highway and 5270 State Highway. And I will note before we start that Chuck and Joanne were absent for the last hearing on this and have not filed Mullen paperwork, so they will not be part of the voting quorum, but will be able to ask questions and make comments. And it's my understanding that Jackie Tupper is at the town hall.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Here for, I guess, questions.
So I want to thank you for giving us additional information that we asked for. I'm going to start out with the plans we asked for. We had asked for site plans of the work closest to resource areas such as Duck Marsh Lane. And what you gave us were engineering plans and not site plans, like a plot plan with the work and the resource areas and the distances and slopes and such.
Okay, yeah, I guess I thought the engineering plan was the same as the site plan. So that's my misunderstanding. So the engineering plan has the license survey as the base map. And then we have the assessor's map on top of that for the parcel lines. And then we have the plan and profile view. So I guess I don't know off the top of my head what makes the site plan different.
a site plan would have the resource areas listed and the location of the work being done in relation to the resource areas, plus slopes and so on.
I think we did have the DEP wetlands layer added in to the plan, so there should be the wetlands layer and then the 100-foot buffer. And we should have the survey that has the elevations. But
Not that I'm seeing. So if I look at Duck Marsh Lane, which is C27, is that I'm having trouble understanding this in terms of where the resource areas are, and because I see pipes and I see, yeah.
And then we do have the 100-foot buffer, and then there is small print, but there is a wetland delineation on the engineered plan.
It's very small print. Where is? Oh wait, it's not a format I'm used to looking at like this.
It's a dashed line with WL.
I mean, certainly, I don't mind doing another plan or adding more info.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm a little stuck. I don't see the dash line you're talking about, Alex. Is that in the
That's
top or bottom?
That's on C27.
Yeah, that's what I've got. That's
Yeah.
what I've got here.
So it's so the plan has two image. It's on the top one. You've got the proposed sewer line, the filter
Right.
sock, sedimentation control,
Mm-hmm.
and then below that, there's another dashed line.
There's a dash line under something that says prop for TFC SMH.
Yeah, that one. So
That one is, that one's supposed to be the wetland?
yes, and then there's the 100-foot buffer off of that.
Where is that shown? Oh, I see that dashed line. So what's the slope in between?
Slope in between.
In between where the pipe is going and the resource.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Okay. We could add that in.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand what would happen there if there was a pipe burst or something, because that was a very steep site. And the same thing, yeah. So that was hard to process. And then for the pumping station, the site we visited, the location of the pumping station on that site had not yet been determined. Has that been taken care of?
Yeah, the Route 6 South across from Salt
Yes.
Pond. So
Yes.
in meeting with the town, we were looking to move it because it sounds like that first building is eventually going to be demoed and the back building is going to stay. So we were looking to move it in front of that first building. Still the farthest edge away, the other side of the property from the wetland.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because we really like to have the details of where things are going as we're looking to approve something. In site plans and so on.
We could send the
So
final.
I don't know.
send-
I'll ask the rest of the commission. I'm just going to ask the rest of the commission if they also had trouble with these engineered site plans and understanding where the resources were in relation to the work being done. Anybody wants to weigh in? No. Cricket. Am I the only one who had trouble with this? Mike?
No, I had trouble too. I'll give you an example. I'm looking at the site where the first building is going to be demolished, and I'm seeing 100-foot wetlands, and I understand what you're saying, but this is a satellite view, and it doesn't show the slope at all, and I'm not seeing enough detail on any of the other documents to understand. That one bothered me. It's near Salt Pond, and the damage to the Salt Pond could be extensive because the connection between the wetlands next to that pump station goes underneath Route 6 and connects with the Salt Pond. The other piece that we brought up last time, and I'm trying to find that as well. The other pump station was next to the old landfill that's now covered with solar panels. And I was looking for that, but I don't see.
I think that one is outside of our jurisdiction.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
But Greg had brought up some points about the dirt and contaminations in the dirt. And I thought that part of that was our jurisdiction because we want to make sure that dirt doesn't flow into existing wetlands or sewers. I guess somebody's going to be concerned about that, but it's not us.
Well, I think Jackie and her team did a lot of hydrology around that location. So, and it did not seem to connect. Look, Jackie can speak to that maybe quickly.
Oh, for the landfill and the pump stations, we did get the permit from DEP back because it's over 250 feet from the landfill cap. But I think to your point with construction, we can certainly add, filter sock on that road to make sure. So I think there's some wetlands to the southeast, maybe some of the houses behind some of the houses across the street. So we can make sure that's protected during construction.
Okay, so you can get us some additional site plans of what we're looking for, Jackie?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And then we had also asked about the frost line, and you gave us information on that, and system integrity and leak detection, and the pump stations and the grinder station. So I'm going to call on Alex before I continue.
Sorry, just to backtrack, I just wanted to clarify from my notes what additional details we want to see on the site plans. I've got slope, and then what else?
Slope, resource area, distance of the work from the resource area. I don't know, the kind of site plans we're used to looking at, I think would help us all greatly. Because we're not used to looking at engineering drawings.
So slope, resource areas, buffer zones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hillary?
Would it be helpful if we pulled the map up on the screen and Jackie could walk you through these things? Because I guess I want you to have what you need. I think it's all there. And I don't want to spend money on another drawing set if we have the information that we need and we can walk through it. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's an option.
Well, I understand not wanting to spend more money. I think when I feel like I'm confused by plans, and I kind of feel like everybody else is going to be confused by them too, it is helpful to have them in a format that we're used to looking at. But I think we could start with Jackie going through it for us, and then we can see where we stand after that, if that would be okay with everybody else. Mike, did you have an opinion?
Yeah, that would be okay. Pick the site across from Jackie, if you don't mind starting with the site across from Salt Pond. And walk us through what you have, because that's a particularly problematic area for me.
Well, so, and then maybe Duck Marsh Lane after that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to see if I can share my screen.
I think maybe while Alex pulls it up, not to go off on a tangent maybe, but I guess maybe, I think you're concerned, and rightfully so, right, is that the sewer line could break and you could have backup and sewage basically going into wetlands, correct?
Correct.
So maybe I can talk about that to address it more. So I think in terms of sewer systems, where you would see these breaks type of happen, so you obviously have the pump stations and then you have the piping. So if we want to start on Duck Marsh Lane, that type of piping is low pressure sewer. So typically with wastewater systems where you see these failures and breaks, I mean, first off, it's usually old pipe. It's also when the pipe's not maintained. So the town's going to hire a licensed third-party operator to make sure it's maintained. Other issues you have is when it's not installed correctly, which the town would have like inspector from Apex out when they're installing it. Another issue is also if it's just not designed correctly. So the low pressure sewer on Duck Marsh, we did all of the hydraulic modeling with the grinder pumps and the elevations, and we also work with the vendors who make the piping and the grinder pumps to kind of address that design. I think another kind of the two other main items would be if you have older either concrete or cast iron piping systems where you have a buildup of hydrogen sulfide. Those usually cause a break so that you have the corrosion issue. And then you also have ground movement, which in these older pipes becomes a problem. And that's where you have the break. So on this road, we went with PVC piping so you wouldn't have that corrosion issue and then you would have the flexibility. And then it's also installed in a way where you have the epoxy coating at all of the joints. So you wouldn't have to worry about leaks there. And when it's installed, they pressure test it about 1.5 times what the maximum operating pressure of the grinder pumps that could pressurize that. It's still a low pressure main, but we go 1.5 times higher than what the pumps could ever produce. So we don't have to worry about those types of leaks. I think any type of leak that you would have, I would be most concerned about the grinder pumps. And then also just in terms of, I think volume would be a huge issue. So at every property line, you have a check valve so that you'll never have sewage going from the main in the road backflowing into anyone's stub. And then we also have the backflow devices in the grinder pumps themselves, so you don't have to prevent sewage from going into someone's house. So the maximum kind of amount of backup that you would have at the grinder pump would be only from what's being, generated into the grinder pump. And those have about, I think it's 70 gallons is our spec that they'd be able to hold. But that's the most likely point of failure because the pumps usually last 7 to 10 years. But those have the alarm systems in them to be able to operate the residents, to alert the residents and the operator to let you know if there was a break.
Okay. But if there was a break in the low pressure system piping, then anything coming out of any leaks or breaks would come out at a faster rate than an unpressured pipe, correct?
Yeah, so it's the diameter, I think on that road, it's either 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And since it's also pressurized from the grinder pumps, it's all being pumped uphill into the system, which also discharges onto Schoolhouse into longer downstream into a gravity main. So that's where you have the open discharge, so you don't have a buildup of pressure like you would in a water main or a force main. And since the main is constantly under pressure from the grinder pumps, you don't necessarily have the same type of situation where it would just back up out in the other direction, if that makes sense, because it's all being pressurized in that certain direction,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, so going from there, I have on my list of questions to ask about the monitoring system and hydrostatic testing, which you just talked about. And then you're going to have the SCADA logs, right, for your system. So I was wondering if that would be something, the hydrostatic testing is something that could be submitted to the Conservation Department before the system is activated, just to confirm the leak-free integrity near the wetlands areas.
Of course. Yep.
And then you are going to be keeping logs of the pump run times and alarm history and so on. And I think it would be good if part of the order of conditions that they would be made available for inspection by the Conservation Department upon request, just to keep track of the system health.
Yeah, that makes sense. And all of that gets recorded anyway by the operator and submitted to DEP. So we definitely have that.
Okay. And yeah, so about, well, I think maybe Alex can pull up.
Yeah, so right now I've got the engineered plan for Duck Marsh Lane.
Mhm.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see that? Do I need to zoom in a little bit more?
I think that's okay.
Yeah, I guess it's not helpful too. Like the plan set itself would have the details to show you what the pipe looks like, but that would be the plan view, and I think the profile view is below that. But it's low pressure, so it's generally 5 feet below grade under the road. So you can see it had to be a low pressure main and not gravity, just with the elevation difference between, I think, that schoolhouse and the end of Duck Marsh. And I think on our site visit, you could tell it's kind of slopes downhill. So that's why we made it low pressure, to be able to pump it up to schoolhouse.
Right. It slopes steeply downhill towards the duck marsh. And I was curious about what that slope was to the marsh from where the pipes and so on are going.
So pretty much.
And I don't see
here.
that in here, do I? Yeah,
That slope.
that slope.
Then we've got the wetland right around here.
Right. It's very steep, but I don't have details of it. Do you happen to have that information?
It would be in the LiDAR and Mass Mapper, but our survey only goes in the right of way on the road.
Okay, but we're permitting from where you have the work done in relation to the wetland areas. So it's, to my mind, important to know what's between them, should anything happen. During the lifetime of this system.
Yeah, I'd have to check on the, we wouldn't have the survey of the wetlands, but I can check on, it's on the online state, should have some elevation differences.
Okay, that would be helpful. And also for the pumping station that we've been talking about.
Let's find.
Are these the two that are closest to wetlands? Jackie?
Well, I think in what we submitted, it was anything that was within, I think that was the issue. We only had submitted plans within the 100-foot buffer. I think in the first submission, and I know the pump station isn't within the buffer, but obviously we identified it as being close. So we submitted that after. I think that, I mean, I'm sure there are some pipes outside of the 100-foot, but nearby wetlands, I'm sure.
Well, I'm concerned with what is in the jurisdiction, but so when you move the pump station around at that location, is it getting further away from the wetland there, or closer, or what's the
Further away on the farthest corner of the parcel where we would move it. We're looking to site it right where the leach field is for that property. So I
because
think it'd be
obviously
better.
they won't need that they won't need that anymore.
And I think the nice thing about the pump stations versus something like Duck Marsh is the fact that it's, you had mentioned the SCADA system, and it's, 24/7 monitoring and alarms. We have the dual lag pumping system, so you have the backup pumps, and just the wet well vault volume. So you're not really in a situation where it could just back up uncontrollably.
Right, and you said there's backup power in there as well?
Yep, we have an on-site generator.
And you said that was good also for 72 hours?
Yes.
Well, actually, I had the other one. This isn't the pump station I was concerned about. That's the elementary school.
Elementary school, and then this one is the one off Route 6.
Photographs.
Yeah. Let's see.
We lose volume.
I think that was the right one, Alex.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah, that was the pump station that's near Salt Marsh, with two existing buildings, and one's going to be demoed. I just want to
Oh, yes. Yep. So that is this one.
have her point out
Delgeezy
more accurately
property. Yeah.
where the station's going to be, and just I don't think it's going to be in the 100-foot, but
Bear with me here.
that was the one I was concerned about.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's that one. So after speaking with Rich and Jackie Moore, we were moving it basically right closer to Route 6. I'm trying to think what direction that is on that plan.
Further east.
So just further east, so that driveway or whatever it's going to be, it's not going to move any farther south. It's going to move to the east.
Correct.
And then, yeah, so here's the 100-foot line.
Yep.
Through here. Okay.
And yes, and we had a site visit there, and that whole section between the 100 feet and the very top of the diagram is relatively flat. There's no real slope there.
Correct. Yeah.
Except, well, it's a hill on the far side, but anyway, happy with that. Thank you.
Okay.
I think that was really helpful.
Great.
Before I continue my questions, I want to see who else has questions. concerns, comments?
I've
Chuck?
got one, and this may be demonstrating that I didn't read something correctly, but I'd like to know how the standby generators are fueled, and if the fuel is stored on site, what sort of protections do we have in place?
So these would be diesel generators or gas generators, so they'll be hooked into the gas service on Route 6.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. So I wanted to talk more about monitoring leaks and outages, any spill and cleanup controls, and about the individual grinder pumps. So I'm wondering if the individual grinder pumps would be better taken up, Clearman's permit the homeowners, or whether we need to put any conditions on the grinder pumps. Well, let me just ask, are the grinder pumps going to have generators, or do they have a need for a generator as well?
Yeah, so I mean, we're in the planning phases, but the idea would be that if you had a grinder pump, a generator would be required to provide the backup power.
Okay, and for how many hours would the generator need to be running? Would that be also 72 hours?
Yeah, I think so. That's what we discussed.
Okay, and would the homeowners get information on the best management practices and so on, and the explaining the emergency storage for the grinder pumps and the need to maintain the generators? And would the homeowners also be required to show annually that the generators are working? What's the monitoring on that?
I'm not sure about I mean, there definitely would be public outreach and information to all of the homeowners, but I'm honestly not sure about any type of monitoring of the generators to make sure they're working. It's a good question.
Well, I think that's something we would probably put in the Hillary. Hillary, you're muted.
Sorry, just talking to myself. I just said we haven't gotten to the point yet of doing any outreach to specific property owners about grinder pumps or requirements for generators yet. I imagine we're going to get there as part of the regulation draft set. We'll have outreach documents. So I think that's something we absolutely will do and we'll have. We just don't have it yet.
Okay, so that's something that if we're addressing, we could do in any individual permitting that comes before us. If we wanted
Just to have a requirement for education and outreach? Yeah, sure.
Well, no, I mean, for the homeowners, if we have to permit any of these grinder pumps in jurisdiction.
Oh, yes,
we could have conditions on the generators and and so on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And education and so, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then, okay. So for the, I'm looking at possibly order of conditions now. And about leaks and prolonged power failures and so on. So the system, you have a SCADA system that monitors conditions and transmits the alarms and so on. And then I'm wondering about prolonged power failures. The pumps are equipped with standby generators, which I believe is 72 hours, and automatic transfer switches and so on for the backup pumps. So I would think that in order of conditions on this, that we would probably want some notice to go to the conservation department if the pumping station is operating on emergency storage without a functioning pump or generator, that the Conservation Department should probably be notified within 24 hours if that is the situation, so we can monitor that near wetlands. That makes sense. And then also that if there are any critical alarm triggers, including higher water levels or flooding or pump faults, that the Conservation Department should be notified. And then I already talked about the hydrostatic testing and the SCADA logs. And then I'm wondering about what the protocols are for spills and cleanup. Should there be any kind of an emergency that would require that?
Yeah, I think that would definitely be in the operator's health and safety plan, emergency response plan, and then the town, as part of their permitting with DEP, would put together an emergency response plan and what needs to happen for that.
Okay, I think that's something that we would need to be looking at for the plan for things within the wetland jurisdiction. And then what kind of maintenance there is of isolation valves and so on. And are the isolation valves checked annually or certified annually?
Typically, yep. They exercise all the valves.
Okay, so I'm kind of thinking that for the areas within our jurisdiction, it would be good for us to just have that information as a report, and also for us to have the emergency response plan for jurisdictional areas that we can review. I know you don't have it yet, but we could review when that is getting developed.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. That's my main things. I'm going to ask if anybody else has anything. Well, I don't see anybody. Alex? Have anything?
Jackie and I were talking about, how to condition this project, and it was recommended that perhaps we pull from the town
Water service?
the water service project.
Mm-hmm.
The conditions, excuse me, for that project was pretty standard to our other orders. There were special conditions for harm's way specifically, which is not included in this project.
Right.
So I think it would make sense to kind of tailor, the conditions for wastewater off of the town water project, in addition to the conditions we just spoke to.
So I think we probably need to review that as a document before we could vote on this.
Yeah, so what I can do is draft up conditions for this project that the commission could then vote on.
I can send you my notes.
Okay. Yeah, I've been taking some notes as well, but it'd be good to compare.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission need additional information here, or are you happy with what you know and have? Okay. Then let me ask if there are any abutters on the call who wish to be heard on this project. Okay. So it looks like we don't need to have additional plot plans, and we're just going to work on the order of conditions. So we do need to continue this to the next meeting. Would that be all right, Jackie? The next meeting is April 28th.
Yep, that works.
Okay, so if we could.
Oh, no, I was
Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, I was just gonna say our funding deadline is mid-May, so that works.
Oh, yeah, that should work. Okay, so if we could have a motion to continue to April 28th, and Alex will work on a draft of the order of conditions for us, and that's what we'll be discussing at the next meeting.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second,
Okay, Janet?
yes.
I guess you can vote on a continuance, but not on the project. Actually, I should say that if Joanne and Chuck do their Mullins review and letter before the next hearing, you will be allowed to vote. But if we were going to vote tonight, you couldn't. Okay, so Chuck?
Yes. And, go ahead.
Okay. Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Cinnamon? I already did I get Janet already? Okay, and I'm a yes. Okay. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Karen, can I make a comment?
Sure.
I think,
Wait.
you were talking about notifications of events. And I think when Alex is putting this together, maybe confer with these folks and maybe threshold some of this, because if you've got something that trips out and, secondary kicks back in 30 seconds, it's going to generate an event log, but it's not necessarily something that we need to be notified about. So there are certain conditions or certain sustained events that we definitely should be notified about. I don't think we need every little thing.
Right, and I think some of that I had in my comments already, but yeah, I agree. But you need to say things like that before we continue and move on. Okay. All right. Let's see. Agenda. Okay, so next up is a continuation of notice of intent filed by David Milliken. Applicant proposes to construct a new house and appurtenances at property located at 95 Windjammer Lane, map 19, parcel 066, and they've requested a continuance to April 28th, 2026. So if we could have a motion and a second, please.
Move to continue to April,
28th.
28th.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, Mike,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, so next we have staff updates.
Staff updates. Nothing too crazy to report back on. We are finishing up nourishment season, so that is wrapping up tomorrow. That is when we expect all contractors to be off town landings and to have all the sand placed where it needs to be. It usually takes us about a month or so to confirm who has nourished, who hasn't. So I'd say sometime, what's today's April 14th? I'd say, mid to late May, we have our final tally as to, who's compliant and who isn't. Typically, compliance is pretty good with property owners in Eastham, but there are, from year to year, a couple property owners who are not. So we'll have more details on that probably about a month or so. Other updates, I think that's about the only one I've got for you tonight.
Okay, and then we have minutes from March 10th, 2020. Oh, Hillary?
Sorry, did you talk about the docks coming out at 150 Old State Highway?
That's
I may have missed that.
That's coming up next.
That's coming up in the
Oh,
violation
sorry.
section.
Okay, sorry, I was excited.
Okay, yeah, you should be. Okay, so minutes, March 10th, 2026. Has everybody had a chance to review? Are there any additional changes or anything that we need to ask Amy to do? And seeing nobody's hand up, could we have a motion to approve the March 10th minutes?
Move to approve the March 10th, 2026 minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. And now we're on to violations.
All right. First up, I'll do 150 Old State Highway. We did receive an email from Marcus Morris over the weekend stating that the docks at 150 Old State Highway were removed. That includes the docks and the gangways. And so I did a site inspection that was yesterday. And the docks and gangways are stored in the location that the commission approved. When I went out to the site, it was high tide, so I didn't get a good look at the fringe salt marsh on the property, and that's the area that we were concerned that was potentially damaged from the gangways being lodged in there for quite some time. So it'll be on me to get back out there at low tide to take a closer look. But as far as the immediate emergency of getting the docks out of the water, that has been completed. So I'm happy to report that to the commission.
Excellent. Okay. So, yeah, really good. Any other violation updates or any other updates related to properties that are of concern in those areas?
Yeah, Hillary and I can probably also speak to 157 Brownell Road. We did have a hearing today in Superior Court regarding a court order to have the dwelling at 157 Brownell Road demolished. Perhaps Hillary could speak on this one a little bit.
Sure, of course. We were in the Superior Court today for the 2:00 session, and the judge ruled in on the injunction that we had requested to order Mr. Moot to demolish the dwelling within 10 days of receipt of the order. We know that it's been tricky to serve him in Pittsburgh. We've now attempted 2 different orders to serve to him, both of which got taped to the door. So I don't know if he's receiving them or not. My last communication with him, he told me he no longer wanted to communicate in a friendly way. And so we haven't heard from him since. So this was our only option. If he fails to do anything within the 10 days, then the town can, should they choose, demolish the house on their own and assess the charges to Mr. Moot. So I think that's where we are with that one.
Can I ask a question? Did you say
Yeah, of course.
that the order is to demolish within 10 days of him receiving the order?
Yes.
So if he doesn't get the order, then it just goes on? Or what's the follow-up to that?
I don't know what the follow-up to that is. We didn't ask that in court today, but I assume after we've served him formally, after 10 days, I did ask if we'd have to serve him 4 times again, because that seems to take a long time. And the attorney said he didn't think we would have to serve him 4 times. So I think it's a shortened process of service by a service provider.
Okay, and service has to be to him directly? So if they
To
don't...
him, yes.
Him, yes. So if they can't catch up with him, they can't serve him, and then this just keeps going on?
Well, I think there will be a finite amount of time. Like we used taping it to the door of his last known address, and that was sufficient for the courts today.
Oh, okay. So that should be sufficient for the...
So I imagine, yeah, it would hold the same.
Okay. You never quite know.
You never do know, and different judges can weigh in differently. So it just depends.
Okay. So
And I guess just to update the commission on the site as well, staff, does at least a weekly site visit out to the Brownell Road area, and as expected, the erosion continues. There's been some short-term stability in the immediate area of 157 Brownell, but the areas surrounding that parcel are eroding quickly. We'd have spring high tides coming up, I believe, over the weekend, early next week. It takes about an 11-foot tide to hit the toe of the bank out on that stretch of the coastline, and we're expecting a 12.2, 12.3 foot tide, around the 19th and the 20th. And so it is when that toe of the bank gets eaten away, the rest of the bank kind of just slides down and collapses. And so I'm curious to see what the site looks like after these upcoming high tides over the weekend into early next week.
It did not look very good this morning when we were out there.
No, and so yeah, it's a good point, Karen. We did take a quick look at the Brownell Road area during our site visits this morning, and so some of the commissioners were able to get out there and see it.
We didn't get to see under the shelf though, and nobody wanted to venture out far enough to hook their head around to take a look. Hillary?
We've peeked around the edge and over the top from the town road, and it's downright frightening. So I just wanted to say that we did also go onto the other property. I mean, we were supposed to have a site visit there last week, and nobody showed up but Alex, myself, and Susie. But we were presented with a deed, and did we get any written documents, Alex, or did we just talk about one? I think it was an email where the applicant through Ben Zender wanted to possibly move forward with a half a demolition of the structure again and move it back into this driveway layout area, which there is a deed for surrounding that property on 3 sides, but not the ocean fronting side. And so they wanted to meet out there with us to discuss this new concept and with Jackie, because apparently it's town-owned land. But nobody showed up. And so we left rather disgruntled because we happened to have a really busy day that day and we were squeezing this in and nobody showed up. So
we do know they haven't filed a notice of intent yet, and they missed the deadline on April 10th for the April 28th meeting. So I guess we don't know whether they're planning to do a notice of intent.
in my last conversation with Ben, when I said, this seems to be an emergency for us, I suggested at this point that they just file the notice of intent, because all this wasted time is like, counterproductive to doing something.
Yes, because it seemed like they had way back in February and each time since that included in their request for emergency orders that they would file a notice of intent.
Yes.
And now it's quite a bit later and we haven't seen one.
Mm-hmm.
They did file a demolition permit. They did get the power cut to the property. So they've done some things. I don't believe they've yet had an asbestos survey. So they're doing some things.
Right, but they can't do the rest of it without our sign off.
You are absolutely correct.
At one point, we were expecting them to submit a third request for emergency certification. Whether or not that's still in the cards, I'm not sure.
Okay. There's really not much more to say there now, is there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Any other violation updates? I don't think so, right?
No, I did. Well, I guess I'll say I did make. I sent I guess a notice to property owners on, I think it's Sanders Lane. Some tree and brush cutting was brought to my attention by the Eastham Conservation Foundation. This property abuts their property out on North Sunken Meadow Road. I sent a letter to the property owner. I don't have too much to report back on this one. I'll have more information at our next meeting, and I'm hopeful that the property owners will also join us. So more on that to come.
Okay. And then we're up to education and training update. So I guess the big one is the Salt Marsh training on April 30th.
Correct. That's being hosted by Mass Audubon at their Wellfleet Bay Sanctuary. And this is more of kind of a what's the term I'm looking for? I'm just going to pull up their email from Ian. Technical training. That's what they're calling it. On the 29th of April, right? 29th? Or was it the 30th?
I think it's the 30th.
30th, yep, Thursday the 30th. And this is a training intended to support the Eastham First Encounter Marsh Restoration Project, which is a project that Mass Audubon is going to be spearheading. This is a project that's still in the conceptual stage, and as part of this, they wanted to, bring the Conservation Commission and other stakeholders into the conversation, and hold this technical training on the 30th. And so I know a couple of the commissioners have RSVP'd for this, and I've passed along that to Mass Audubon, and so I'm looking forward to joining you guys on that training.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3-hour in the building training followed by 3 hours out in the marsh training. So I'm going to go for the indoor stuff and lunch, and then that'll be it for me. But I think you guys will really enjoy the marsh experience.
Great.
So sorry, Joanne, we can't do it virtual for you. Janet?
It does look like we're supposed to bring our own lunch. Just a comment.
It says lunch, BYO, brown bag. Does that bring your own brown bag lunch?
It must be, yes.
I think so.
All right, I'll confirm the lunch details.
I guess their grant didn't extend to food for this meeting. Okay, so did anybody go to the coastal, what was it called? Yesterday, there was the Cape Cod Coastal Conference. Did anybody go? Okay. All right, and what else do we have? Liaison reports. Oh, I skipped over those and went right to training. Liaison reports. I know Cinnamon is going to have her first meeting with the Open Space Committee tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow at 2:30.
That sounds great. Greg, anything on the Forest Committee?
Yeah, actually, the Friends of the Eastham 1651 Arboretum had a meeting the other day, last week. And they decided to have their, semi-annual planting on April 25th. And they're planning to plant, I think, 15 red cedars and 15 white cedars. And I just wanted to know if there's any communications we need to work on with that.
Where are they planting?
At Wiley Park, where they have that 1651 project that's ongoing.
Right, where at Wiley Park?
They have a map. I can send you a map. I mean,
if it's within the 100-foot buffer zone, they do need to do an AR.
We know it's within the 100-foot buffer zone. Is right. The white cedars, right. I don't think would do well.
So we do need to.
So what can I do to help facilitate that? If there's anything I can do,
it'll be an after-the-fact AR at this point.
Okay.
But you will keep you. Part of your job is to kind of keep ahead of them a little bit when they're going to do planting and make sure that administrative reviews get filed, because we have to treat everybody the same for work.
So I'll I'll send a note to Steve that they need to file an administrative review with conservation.
Would this be an administrative review that I could approve, or should it come in front of the commission?
I'd be fine with you approving it. And it should come from the Forest Committee and not the Friends of, because if it comes from the Forest Committee, there's no fee. And if it comes from the Friends of, there's a fee.
Okay. So I'll let Steve, either way, Steve's in charge of both of those. So I believe, and I'll send him an email and let him know.
Yeah, we just need like a sketch with approximate locations and maybe species and quantities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does anybody object to Alex signing off on this? Okay.
Do they need help planting?
The planting day is going to be, people are welcome to come and help on the 25th, Saturday.
At what time?
What time?
A good question. I think it's 9:30 to 11. But if someone's going, I'll when I talk to Steve, I'll find out.
Yeah.
Send an email.
If I can, I'd love to help out.
Okay.
Okay. And I have no updates from the Strategic Planning Committee. And that leaves any other discussion. We did want to talk about having a work session, possibly at the beginning of June. So if you guys would kind of look at your calendars and see what your schedule is. We did say early June, right, Alex?
Yep.
Let me see.
Early mid-June.
It's involved in a work session, is it like day?
So that would be an extra meeting. We usually do it at 6 o'clock on some night where we are all available.
Yeah.
And we do it in person at town hall, and we usually each bring some shared food.
Nice.
Sort of like a little potluck to go with our extra work night.
Yeah, I think sometime.
Yeah.
I'll be, I just want to let you guys know, I will be back in town because it'll be Nauset's graduation at the beginning of June. So I'll be around like May 30th to June 16 or so.
Okay.
I want to try to.
Perhaps we can
Something
try. Perhaps we could try to find a date that works with all of us while Joanne's in town.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So early to mid June-ish. Okay.
Yeah, so if you guys would look at your calendars, and we'll talk about it at the next meeting and set a date.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And then as far as topics to cover, Karen, what were your ideas?
Well, I think we want to get back to the coastal resilience bylaw and regulations, which kind of I fell behind on last year. And we also wanted to talk about, I talked with a few of you about switching around a bit how we handle our meetings, with the possibilities that the commissioners might take a filing and be responsible for it from beginning to end at the hearings. So you would run that part of the meeting, with the idea that that might help build some of your capacity and learning experience around regulations and so on. That would be totally voluntary, and it would be one matter at a time per person if they wanted to do it. So we should talk a little bit more about the logistics of that and whether it's a good idea and anybody actually wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be a good way for you to want to dig further into some of the regulations if you have one filing in front of you that you're responsible for going a little deeper in.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it. It might be too distracting to switch off a lot during the meeting. But think about it, because it would be good to get a little more regulatory knowledge into the group.
Yeah.
And then I was wondering if there might be time in all this to maybe do a little training on near maps and Mass GIS and so on.
Yeah, that's I mean, I know enough to be dangerous. I'm no expert, but I can give like a quick tutorial on the various
Okay.
mapping resources that are available to the commission that we use
Yeah.
often in the office.
I can help with that as well.
Okay. And then, I mean, I don't want to make the agenda too long, keep it
Yeah.
realistic, but I would also like to perhaps have at least a preliminary conversation on regulations on nourishment. I think
Yes.
having some regs on that would be beneficial. Just given how much activity there is around that, and having some regulations and policies in place, I think would certainly be beneficial. So whether that's at this work meeting or one in the future, it's just something to keep in mind.
Well, I certainly think we can talk about it and see if somebody wants to work on that
Yeah.
towards a draft. And then I was wondering if we also wanted to have regulations on when COCs should be submitted, because they seem to hang on forever, and then we get them very late in the process, years and years and years later, when we can't actually review to see whether the work was done.
Yeah.
Or whether we want to issue maybe partial certificates of compliance when somebody asks for an extension if the work is already done and we want to allow them to continue on with an extension for part of it, because obviously we just had filing from 1976 and 1983, and we had a 1972 one recently, and we've had one tonight that were superseded by maybe one or two other filings in the meantime, and it makes it very hard to issue a certificate of compliance after all that. And so we did include that in the dock regulations, but we also maybe wanted to talk about the dock regulations and the dock height situation. So that's quite a bit, but we don't have to spend a lot of time on everything. We could just have some preliminary discussions.
Yeah, I agree on the dock height. I think on one of the docks that we looked at, we may want to just talk about it at least, the implications of some of the measurements.
Yeah. Well, that seems like enough. But we'll talk about, we'll talk about dates at the next meeting, and we can go over the agenda a little more then if we want to.
It sounds like we've got some content.
Yeah. Right. And then, okay, that's all I've got. Anything anybody else wants to say? I know Wayne wants to make a motion for adjournment. I know.
But
So
I would like to speak first that next Wednesday, the 22nd, is Earth Day, and next Friday, the 24th, is National Arbor Day. So pull out your favorite Earth Day and Arbor Day costumes.
Oh, awesome. That is cool. Okay. Well, and thank you, Wayne, for taking care of us so well. If somebody would like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
In Wayne's name, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. So, Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yeah.
Janet,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
and I am a yes. And thank you, everybody, and good night.
Good night.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.